Grog.
Hey everyone, it's the Sideshed podcast with me, Peter Fickling and Keri Warbis. We're back from our break and Matthew isn't. He's just landed in Porto. So yeah, you've got the two of us. Keri, how you doing?
I'm good. I think he's in Lisbon. He's done one of those like international jet setting stopover things in another city before going to Porto. I think he's having New Year in Lisbon.
That shows what the lockdown's done to you, that you consider a short haul flight, probably Ryanair, to be international jet setting.
Well, from Bristol to Lisbon. Yeah, true. Yeah, it's New Year's Eve.
Is it?
We're at the end. It is, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry. This is where I am. I mean, I'm completely lost in time, especially after a week off, because normally the Archers acts as my kind of what's it called, metronome, to help me count through the week. But this last week, because of the mysteries, I'm completely discombobulated. It took me 4 days to listen to it.
Oh, what? Really? Just the mysteries? It took 4 days?
Well, people started moaning about it on Twitter, and I was like, oh God, I better get stuck into that then. And I really tried to enjoy it. But I think you made the good point, which I agreed with, that as a standalone item, it sort of has merit.
Yep.
But I couldn't relax into it. I couldn't ignore the fact I was picking at the scabs. So I was like, which actor's that? Oh, and then also the problem I had was, is that a good actor acting well as a villager who's bad at acting, or is that just bad acting? And is David, what's his name, Tim Bentinck, is he amazing as Herod or terrible because David would never be that good as Herod?
Blimey, you overthought it, love. And maybe listening in bits, was that because of, what was going on in your Christmas household sort of thing?
No, I couldn't stomach
All right.
it.
I was quite the opposite. I listened in one go and I really let it wash all over me. I thought the production values were really superb.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you've mentioned, I did say, if I just stumbled across this, switched my radio on, in the kitchen and come across that drama, I would have really enjoyed it. And I did enjoy it. And I didn't think, who's that at all? It was quite funny. Herod, he did sound very Darth Vader at times, didn't he?
Yeah.
But it was great.
He was great as Herod.
Yeah. There were some good little comedic bits as well. And I thought they coped well with, at points I was totally absorbed in it being, medieval or whenever it was supposed to have been done. But then they kept referring to Ambridge life occasionally. And I quite liked that.
Yeah, I enjoyed the playing with time, playing with kind of anachronistic bits and bobs popping in and out.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the interplay between Lily and Lillian. I thought that was quite fun, their little bickering rivalry. Yeah. How much of it was written, how much of it was improvised.
Yeah.
I did also Jazz was the opposite of David. He was absolutely brilliant as a kind of Jazz giving it his best shot.
Yeah.
But kind of failing. And sorry, to be very clear, just to say it one more time, I did think Tim Bentinck was incredible as Herod. It was really rousing performance. But yeah, I struggled a bit. And I think part of it is that The Archers is bite-sized chunks. It's 12 minutes. You do a bit of house cleaning. It keeps you company while you're walking to the shops. So it's a totally different food group. So it's like trying to find a solid hour to listen to something that requires some quite intense listening is not an easy thing to do.
Okay. Well, you can still sort of bumble around doing other things whilst it's on. But I actually, Mia's singing at the end was lovely.
Oh, I didn't get that
far. The continuity man spoke all over it. That was annoying. I thought, let that play out because it was really lovely to listen to, I thought.
One of the most annoying things about The Archers is the continuity people trying to crack jokes about The Archers. And it's just like, stay in your lane. Tell us what time it is. Tell us what's on next and then piss off. I
quite like that. When they sort of go, oh dear, like they've just listened and what will Mike think of that? Or, it's not always trying to be funny. They just make a little allusion to it, which I really enjoy. I like that the continuity person is not just an in-between person. He's, or she, has listened to what's just happened.
Have you or I agreed about anything so far, Keri?
No.
We need to find some kind of concord, or is it, I don't feel there's any sort of like this is forming any bad blood, but this is unusual. Normally, you and I are in lockstep when it comes to the Archers.
Yeah. Let's think. Did you enjoy having a break from doing the cider shed? I did.
It's a weird one, isn't
You're
it?
going to agree with that, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it, but then I wish, but it also coincided with Christmas, so it wasn't sort of like there was still. It's a weird thing, isn't it? Because it's not a job. It is a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but it also does require sort of twice a week giving up a big chunk of your time.
I love doing it, but I really enjoyed just not having to think about it, really. I did do some tweet-alongs and stuff, but and it was also a shocking week, I think, in the Archers that week. I was so glad we didn't have to do a pod about that week. I can't even remember what happened, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, that was that. I did watch through my fingers the absolute car crash of the show, and also how people were reacting to it. But then this week was a weird one as well. I feel like they're sort of, and I've said this before, they have to do these kind of big clunky gear changes. Like, for instance, a good example is Mike Tucker. For the rest of us, it was a bit tedious, but for new listeners, it was necessary for him to walk in and go, "I'm Mike Tucker. This is what I used to do in a village, and these are the things I'm known for, so that you can quickly get to know me as a character." And it was like, yes, we know him, but like they have to do that, and they have to tell you who Bethany is, and they have to tell you who Vicky is. I mean, that was the big thing for me, was I really missed. I was like, "Where's Vicky? I want Vicky."
Yeah, that's true. And Brenda, what's happened to her? But I thought the Mike Tucker sort of précis of his history, I thought that was done quite well, because it was Chris and Harrison, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of going, "Do you know Mike? Well, I'll tell you all about it." but you sort of would do that, wouldn't you? If you were sort of on a walk with someone else and you went, "Oh, so and so's coming round later," you would fill that other person in with the things you know about them a little bit, wouldn't you? To sort of prep them, or, So he was like, his foot sometimes ends up in his mouth, his heart's in the right place. He's had some hard times. His farm went bust. His first wife died young, but he adores Vicky and Bethany.
Yeah, to be fair, there is a lot to get in, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, good. It is needed, like you say, for newer listeners, but I quite enjoyed having that recap as well, to be honest.
Do you think he's doing that work on the cottage purely out of the goodness of his heart? I don't remember him being that close with Ruth and David. Do you think he's got an eye on it for him and
yeah, he sounds like he's at a loose end mentally and emotionally, and he wants a project, and it might, because he was kind of fobbing off the idea. Someone asked him if he missed Ambridge, and he sort of went, "No, not really. I'm on a darts team in a pub."
Yeah.
But so he was whether that was putting a brave face on or what. I think, everyone's speculating now whether him and Vicky are on the rocks, and is he going to end up in the bungalow? I doubt that. Do you? He wouldn't end up in there. But it did seem a bit weird that he was being paid in cake for a week's work.
Yeah, that's not how work works, is it? But I thought that they might be returning, and he might be looking out for a place for him to live. I mean, it's a big bungalow. They managed to squeeze Toby and Rex and Bert in there, so definitely enough room for a couple and their daughter.
But what will Pip and Josh have to say about that?
Keri,
not me.
Josh, keep him around. I like Josh, but just the mention of Pip got me irritated. Just the thought of Pip being so. She's already got a house. Sorry, I didn't really. Was listening in a hurry this morning, and Cyrus was kind of wanting to show me the fort he'd built. What was so I missed out on Pip's annoyance.
Yeah, I know her justification didn't really get explained, because Ruth said, "Oh, she wants Toby to find somewhere of his own." I thought, well, yeah, that gives more space for her than what you're doing. And Josh's was that he wanted a combination of home and office, wasn't it?
Let's forget about how lucky you are to have a live somewhere where your parents just happen to have a whole, habitable building on their land that you can move into. I think that's a whole different argument. But Josh has, in that situation, Josh could quite reasonably say, I have a business that's tied into yours. I need the space, and I also need somewhere to live because I'm a grown man. So yes, I mean, I don't,
I'm not sure how much office space he needs. Can you not just have a laptop on your knee or what?
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But that's not really, whether or not he needs it, it's perfectly reasonable for him to say,
Yeah.
"Oh, Kip's already got a house. Another one's turned up. I've waited because I'm the second child. I'll have this one." But it shouldn't be like Pip's like, "Oh, I get to pick and choose."
Yeah, because I've got a baby.
Exactly. And I'm trying not to be a dick about it, but like, like she's had Rickyard all this time, so
Yeah. I think we're all hoping that neither of them get it, aren't we? And Usha kind of threw a spanner in, didn't she, saying, "Oh, you'd get loads of money if you sold it commercially or something." She used a funny turn of phrase.
that'll be the big. I mean, that would be quite fun. It's because my mum did that to me. She basically sort of said, "Yeah, you being at home costs us this much, and so you've got 6 months to get out or find, or basically you've got this much time till rent starts, and this much time till we start charging you, open market fees." And I was like, so when I was about 18, 19, and they do the same thing to Josh and Pip. It's like, fine, you can have both houses are yours, but we've done some research and it's 1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And we look forward to receiving your check every month.
Yeah, fair dues, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, it's not pleasant hearing people getting loads of stuff for free, is it?
It takes us on to Rory quite nicely.
Oh, yeah, his presents.
Yeah,
And not many people said, "Blimey, you've spent a lot." I mean, someone did, didn't they? Was it Adam? No, it wasn't. It was Ben, wasn't it? With the
yeah.
supercar experience, which on Amazon is £129 for
You're so
four
thorough. It's ridiculous.
four supercars. Well, I was just thinking, I've got no idea how much.
Yeah,
Oh, and there's quite a few where you can go in one supercar for 50 quid. I was surprised at that not being more, to be
yeah.
honest.
I assumed it was like 300 quid or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
4 supercar experience is 129. 5 is something like 159.
that's two people though, isn't it? Because he did it for Water Chops as well.
Ah, true. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it is a bit. I mean, it's a generous present either way, but
Exactly. As a student. And he also got Jennifer a necklace that will match some earrings.
mm.
Adam some noise cancelling earbuds.
Alice a giant get fucked.
Yeah. Travel voucher
Yeah,
to Nowheresville. Adam's sound cancelling or noise cancelling earbuds, that's 40 to £100, depending on which type you get, roughly.
yeah.
God knows how much the necklace was, and how much was the travel voucher, I wonder. It's not going to be an EasyJet
Sky's the limit.
50 quid, is
I
it?
mean, yeah, this is like a fact finding mission to Fiji for
Yeah.
Alice.
Europe is not far enough away for our Rory, is it, for Alice to go?
I accidentally listened to. I was elbows deep in dough, and so
Mhm.
I said to one of my smart speaker in the kitchen, play the Archers, and I told it the day I wanted to listen to it, and ignored me and played Wednesdays. So I accidentally heard Wednesdays first. So I heard the sort of the vicious attack on Alice, however you want to put it.
Mm.
Rory putting Alice straight, if you're being generous.
Yeah.
Rory being two-faced at best, if you're being a bit more critical of him. And
Yeah.
so I listened to all the beginning of the week, having already heard that, which kind of made me listen a bit more attentively than I would have done otherwise. So, I
Mhm.
got all of the little subtle clues, all the bits where he was sort of sort of dodging questions that kind of
Mm.
like would force him to show his hand.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of the Count of Monte Cristo to it.
Mm.
He's coming back to Ambridge. He's
Mm.
suddenly got all this money. He's using it as part of a kind of charm offensive to sort of
Mm.
sort of wiggle his way into everyone's good books whilst exacting his revenge. I mean,
Mm.
maybe that's a bit pretentious, but that
No, yeah, that's definitely what it came across as.
mm,
But, he does perhaps think now Jennifer is a phenomenal mother. And
she is, yeah,
yeah, she has been to him, definitely, hasn't. But it
yeah,
is very, again, these gifts are very performative, aren't they? They're not They're things that he wants people to go, blimey, oh my goodness, look at this that Rory's got me. And how he handled Alice was very interesting, wasn't it? It's Twitter is red hot with this topic at the moment. Because there's two different camps of, that Rory was an absolute twat to be how he was to Alice, or no, he's every right to. She was despicable to him. He should be honest, and she has really yet to properly realise the consequences of some of her actions and words.
Yeah, for me, it's a bit of column A, a bit of column B. I suspect you feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like when he saw Ben, and he was kind of like, "All right, you loser, what are you still doing with him?" And all this kind of like public school bants. And I hate that word.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but all of that stuff, and I was like, oh God, that's not the Rory I remember. That's really obnoxious, and also there's a world of difference between saying to Alice, "Look, I'm putting on a brave face. I'm here for Jenny. Thank you for trying to apologize, but I'm not ready to accept it yet. So let's just try and play nice." And the way he handled things. Now that could be you could put that down to maturity, but then he's also supposedly, undergone this kind of caterpillar to butterfly sort of like boyhood to adulthood transformation. Now that he's in, the bright, experiencing the hard knocks of London. So it all seems a bit much. It seems a bit, the sensitive, caring Rory that we lost has been replaced with someone who's implausibly hard nosed.
Exactly. Yeah. As per, it's just gone very extreme, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the blunt old mallet has come out.
Yes.
And it's very dangerous, I think, of him to say such things to Alice. He can feel them and think them, and definitely say them at some point in some way. But to do it now, when things are only early stages of her on an even-ish keel, to someone who is ill, let's not forget, she's been fucking horrendous, definitely, and said horrible things to him that, he said literally are unforgivable. So we're not saying forgive her necessarily for the things that she said, but to go in like this and go, look, just get on this airplane, get away from Jenny and Brian. They don't deserve the grief that you're likely to be giving them and have already given them.
There's also the fact that pretending is maybe the wrong word. He is trying to be loving to Jenny and to rebuild, the bridges between them. And of course, the heart and the mind, he must know that Jenny's happiness is linked to Alice's happiness.
Yes.
So if he is being a good son to Jenny, part of that is to not cause her any more heartache by bringing any more sort of animosity into her household.
Exactly. And that's where the maturity has run out. Because if he has, had this huge wake up moment whilst in Ireland or in London or both, he's not showing it very well. Hearing the delight of Jennifer of this is the best Christmas I've ever had. And
I mean, to put on a second Christmas, you've got to really love someone.
Especially her. She did everything, did she? I mean, Brian did make coffee for about 5 hours by the sounds of it. I was gutted he didn't appear. I really wanted to hear his lovely voice.
I didn't even think of that, but of course, I'm not you, so it would have been, immediately, where's my Brian?
Surely he'd be a part of that second Christmas day, for us to hear. I didn't like that. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. And obviously, we're now worrying as listeners as to whether Alice is about to decline again, I guess. It was interesting how it ended where she was talking to Jennifer and Jennifer knew something was up and Alice sort of went, oh, well, and she went, oh, you can tell me anything. You do know that. She went, okay, I will. It's about Rory. And we were all like, oh, is she going to say what's happened? And then she just said, I will really miss him. It's true.
Yeah.
Thought, right, okay. You haven't gone there. So I think she's maybe it will be food for thought for her to think, oh, actually, yeah, there have been really huge consequences, bigger than I've really realised.
Mm.
I don't know. Will she go away on this trip, though, away from her daughter? I mean, that's not going to happen, is it?
It's complicated because if I was in her shoes, I would feel contrite. I would feel guilty.
Mm.
But there would still be a sort of like I wouldn't want to travel on his dime.
Mm.
There would be some pride involved. It's like, no, I mean, Alice isn't stupid.
Mm.
And also she very, I think it's the wrong thing to do, but she gave up. Well, maybe it's the right thing to do. Actually, Chris was annoying this week. It's the right thing to do. She did the right thing by leaving Chris.
Mm.
So she's willing to suck up an enormous amount of pain in the short term to try and do the right thing in terms of her recovery. So she's already shown that she can think her way around some of these problems as she kind of like tries to get her life back on track. And I can imagine, that she would do the same thing with this situation. She's, not going to let herself be swayed by this one stupid moment. I mean, that would be true to her development.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a gradual development. And just before she had that little conversation with Jennifer, where she almost, we thought, was going to talk about Rory, she lost her temper with her a bit and went, oh, because Jennifer was like, no, tell me what's. And then she's calmed right down on that. And I thought when she did that, she was probably having Rory in mind at that moment.
Yes. No, I was she's been an amazing actor.
Yeah.
The whole of this, this whole very long plot arc. I mean, she's been asked to play any number of versions of Alice, and they've all seemed coherent and sort of
plausible. Yeah. She also, she's just had 2 Christmases as an alcoholic with people like Kate obviously got pissed, didn't she? And as soon as Rory, as soon as the second Christmas day was happening, Jennifer said, would everyone like sherry? Blah, blah, blah. Rory said no, but it was only because he would prefer a beer. But throughout that, Alice has made the point that, she needs to be someone who can handle her own issues around others who don't have an issue with alcohol and would like to enjoy it, which was good to hear, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I had dry Christmas and I was sort of surprised how easy it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my brother had got some alcohol-free beers in. It was very nice of him. But it was sort of, I was quite intrigued by how I would deal with it. And it was, very, very easy. I mean, obviously I don't have Alice's problems or nowhere near her problems, but it was I've yet to leave a stuffed dummy of myself in the street or fill my hedge with empties. So
that is good to hear. Oh, also now I've just thought the crypto thing and Rory and how is he affording all this? Some people have said, did he not inherit some money on his 18th, which wasn't that long ago? But he did say to Ben, didn't he? Oh, it's crypto stuff. But when Ben asked, well, tell me, I'd quite like to get in on that. He kind of went, not now, which could be a thing because it's Christmas. Let's not talk about that.
I don't think it's crypto.
No.
I mean, first of all, it would require the script writers actually understanding it or doing the research and making it plausible. They haven't managed to do that with popular culture or human emotions. So something as opaque as cryptocurrency might be beyond them. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's lots of speculation about, is he? Someone said, is he a rent boy? That's an ancient phrase, isn't it, on Twitter? I thought maybe OnlyFans.
Yeah, I was thinking something along those lines because I then immediately told myself off because I felt like it was a kind of maybe a homophobic cliche or something. Rupert Everett, for instance, rather sort of implausibly claimed to have been a rent boy when he first came to London. It's sort of a rather old-fashioned trope. But I also thought back to how he did try and trade, flirting, and he basically flirted his way into that club, didn't he? And sort of suggested to the bouncer that they could get off if they were allowed in. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
So it's not completely. It's within the character's kind of like modus operandi. So maybe maybe the trope is homophobic, but actually it's true to Rory's character.
Yeah, it'd be funny if actually he's just been offered a really sort of low interest loan with his bank account because of being a student or something.
Yeah, and probably much more true to life. I was only at university for a matter of weeks, but I do remember my mates, all of a sudden, like they all had new hi-fis, or God, this is how long ago it was, Keri, hi-fis. But all of a sudden their student loans have been blown on absolutely ridiculous tosh.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were lured towards the NatWest with the offer of a £25 voucher or something, weren't you, as a student? Some sort of, and then
matching piggy bank, you say?
Yeah. Yeah. My front door's just slammed very loudly. I hope you couldn't hear that.
Your guest has stormed out.
Yeah, he stormed out due to my lack of attention. No, he's gone for a nice walk down the seafront.
Very nice. Well, yes. I mean, that's someone was saying on Twitter today how they're in Margate for the weekend, and
nice.
I was having pangs for my time of living on the coast. So it's a real treat, isn't it, to be able to just get down the seafront whenever you want.
It is. Yeah, I'll be doing that later, I think.
Yeah, well, many congratulations. I will feel the delicate crunch of chicken bones and needles underfoot as I march around southeast London. No needles, not that many chicken bones either.
I was thinking pine needles at first when you said that, and I was thinking, in your living room? Oh. Chicken bones.
I have a 2.5-year-old, so pretty much anything is possible at the moment.
How was your Christmas, Peter? Just it
was lovely. It was really lovely. It felt very unwise. It felt stupid to be in a pub with lots of people. It felt stupid to take all my closest and oldest and most sort of frail relatives and expose them to people who just travelled from London. So all that sort of stuff. So there was a kind of simmering sense of this is idiotic. Why are we doing this? But then also that awareness that as one family, you can't stand in the way of the whole thing. It's like where does personal responsibility end and collective responsibility begin? So anyway, I really enjoyed seeing my family, but there was a kind of an undercurrent. I didn't really talk to anyone about it, but I was constantly thinking, well, this feels foolish. But
it's like everyone's doing lateral flow tests, left, right, and centre, aren't they? But it is still a worry because they can give false negatives, can't they?
Yeah, I sat outside my uncle and aunt's house in the car doing yet another test because we'd run out of them, so I'd sort of walk. They sort of left some on the doorstep, and I had to run back into the car.
Yeah,
and I was sort of imagining having to kind of wave at them from the end of the end of their drive, going, "Hello, we're positive. Lovely to see you. Bye."
Yeah, just make it up so you can avoid
driving home now. Oh yeah. That must be. I mean, that must
be a thing. Yeah, definitely.
Download a picture of a positive test from the internet. Be like, oh God, yeah.
You had a good Christmas then. You went to a hotel, didn't you, Peter?
I managed the incredible feat of Linda Snell. Check this out for an authentic nativity. We were locked out of our hotel on Christmas Day and had to go and stay at my mum's house. So we were there, me, a babe in arms, and my wife stuck in the street, unable to get into an inn, literally an inn, and then had to, traipse across to see One Wise Man and my mother.
Was that because there were people in the hotel who saw you coming and quickly locked the doors?
Oh, yeah. But the listeners to the pod were running this hotel.
But yeah, it was empty totally when you were meant to check in.
There wasn't a sight of anyone. So yeah, we were just stuck on the street.
Did you have a donkey or a llama with you?
I would be the donkey in that situation. I would be multitasking as a kind of proxy for Joseph and the donkey. But yeah, it was really. But you would have. I know that you're a very generous woman, but you do like to keep an eye on the price of things. We did get 30 quid off the next night.
Did you? That's not much, I don't think.
You don't think so? Well, I thought you'd agree with that.
They didn't charge you for.
No, so they didn't charge us for the Christmas Day, and then they took 30 quid off the next night.
Oh, right, okay.
I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah.
No, you'd want more, would you?
Was the room rate 40?
No, well, it was It was, what was it? It was
It was a nice
150,
place, wasn't it? Yeah.
150, 160.
Yeah.
So, in the countryside, that's pretty decent, isn't it? So, yeah.
I was firmly ensconced on my sofa, apart from cooking Christmas dinner, which was a triumph, I'll have you know. The
Well, of
crispiest
course.
roast potatoes in the land.
Another side serving of frazzles, maybe in Max? And yes, mum.
Yeah.
The traditional Warbur's Christmas.
Just
Yeah.
thrown at them from the other side of the room as I'm slumped under the tree.
Mm.
No, it was very lovely.
Excellent.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can't wait to. I mean, this was the first year that Cyrus was kind of aware of what was going on.
Mm.
So I imagine it just gets better and better.
Yes, it does.
Mm.
And as it's New Year's Eve, are you doing anything tonight?
No, that. Um, well, I mean, so Mike comes back to the village and he is immediately going to the pub, right? And you know that Mike will, even if the Toby doesn't recognise him behind the bar, whoever's working there, he will just slot in. He's not going to be one of those people walking up, ordering a Guinness last, asking to taste the beers, ordering a coffee or a tea or some such nonsense. 5 cocktails, and then insisting on splitting the bill, and also trying, yes, exactly. He knows what he's doing in a pub. Christmas Eve is the exact opposite, right? It's all these amateurs waltz in, they get
New
drunk
Year's
after
Eve.
2 drinks. Sorry, New Year's Eve. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, and Christmas Eve, in fact. All these amateurs who go out and just all these lovely pubs that you can normally enjoy get stunk out by complete idiots. So no, even when I was younger and drinking, I hated New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's not, I don't really see the point of it, really. We've got a few bottles of fizz in. We will be awake at midnight and go cheers, and
Yeah.
I think we might be playing Monopoly, actually, the 4 of us this evening. That's how off the wall and wild it's going to be here.
Yeah, $100 bills replaced with shots.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Or
you did do another all-nighter recently, so
I did, yeah, that was my surprise party that
Yeah,
happened for leaving the company. Well, I've been on gardening leave for ages.
yeah.
My final day was the 23rd of December. I am unemployed currently. If anyone would like to hire me for anything.
Skills
Not for
include?
anything. Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide what my skills are.
I've been suggesting that Keri would make an amazing project manager, having worked with Keri for a year. I think so. I'm trying to find out what would be involved. I mean, like I've got any say, but this is what I've decided is Keri's got to become a project manager. So I think that's going to be the I think that's going to be the future that will best exploit your eye for detail. And actually, earlier on we were talking about Rory and how to deliver an awkward message to Alice, and I was quietly thinking to myself, I'm talking to a world expert in bluntness. in nuanced bluntness.
Yes.
So we should have called on that skill. How would you have said it to Alice? But I think you covered it a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I definitely, me, and we had a conversation just before we started recording about, if you're in a situation with relatives in particular, where you're disagreeing with what they're saying, because Christmas obviously brings people together who you might not necessarily always choose to spend time with. Sometimes you get to listen to opinions you don't agree with and so on. And whether or not to rock the boat and challenge and what have you, I always, always would challenge if
Yeah.
someone's saying something, but it's how you do it, isn't it?
Whereas I am much more of a snidey, disingenuous creature, and I'll just quietly say nothing and then backstab.
Yeah, then slag them off to Charlotte when you've both gone to bed or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would just say very clearly, no need this Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Total harmony. So yeah.
Same here. Very harmonious. But no, I think, I'm glad. Just to rewind slightly, he did say what he felt to her, but I don't think he did it in the best way.
Yeah, I think it would have been very easy to be on team Rory if he wasn't being such a plank in other ways. I think that's what muddied the water. It wasn't kind of like, if I was writing it true to his character that we'd sort of grown to like, it would have been a kind of reluctant, hurt, slightly lashing out Rory, rather than this very sort of steely, light switch, warm to Jenny, to being very two-faced in front of Alice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that just didn't seem true to his character. And it
No.
just, and yes, he's been in London for 4 months or whatever. It's like, that's not long enough.
Yeah, and, the irony of hearing Jennifer say how civilized they'd both behaved and us knowing.
You referenced the script writing mallet earlier on. Well, they got the script writing trowel out for that, didn't they, as
Yeah.
well? So just a little slather on,
Yeah.
the irony.
Yeah, she did keep going. And another thing, just before you go, I need to say something else, Jennifer, didn't she? Oh, bless them. Yeah, and there was strangeness with Usha. Oh, well, just strangeness with Usha. I'll just end that sentence completely. Oh, yeah, that's what, when we were away, there was the weird Usha stuff, wasn't it? That was the key absolute. I was stunned by her return. Anyway, so she's still knocking around now with Ruth, her friend. Ruth keeps saying, "My friend Usha, friend, I have got a friend. She's called Usha," to Stella.
Look, there she is.
Yeah. Oh, here's my friend. Sorry I'm late, friend. And yeah, so now there's this trio, isn't there, of Usha, Stella, and Ruth doing salsa dancing.
It is nice to have some kind of another sort of adult friendship group in the Archers.
Yeah.
I do like Stella. I think she's a nice character.
Yeah, but we've got to remember her, how, she's in cahoots, isn't she, with Justin? There was that really weird thing where he's inserted her into the village.
Did she not put Justin in his place after that?
I don't know. There's a level, isn't there? A germ of dodginess that I think we need to be wary of.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do like her as a character, and I love the actor,
Yes.
and I love her voice, and she's a good addition. I like her a lot. Out of those three women, she's the one I'd most like to go out with.
Yeah. Poor Ruth. She just sits at a kind of awkward crossroads as a character, doesn't she? Because she's got to she's often kind of shuttling crappy news from her family. She's got the worst family, basically. She's the matriarch of the worst family in the village. So more often than not, she's a kind of vehicle for some quite annoying guff for us to have to kind of, process. So actually, to be fair to Ruth as the actress and the character, try and see her through slightly fresh eyes when she's being friends with Stella. And also, it's, juxtaposition. It's difficult not to feel a bit more warm towards anyone when they're standing next to Usha. I mean, that it was a tour de force of shithousery the last 2 weeks in terms of how unlikable she was.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. She sounded really pissed, and I have tweeted, I couldn't tell whether the script was that she is pissed at this point, but Alan never mentioned that she'd drunk anything, or she didn't mention it either. Or I didn't know what was going on, because she suddenly reappeared and was very odd and sort of arsey, and then left, then came back and was all sweetness and light. And yeah, we get your point. Alan's busy. He's a vicar. Of course he's going to be busy. It's Christmas. That was all a mess. And then this thing about pretending that they have split up to teach Susan a lesson.
Yeah.
And hoarding loads of food that they've been given. Some people on Twitter were saying, as a vicar and quite well off as a pair, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Why did they hoard all that food? They could have given it to some homeless people, in a Christian fashion. But no, she's like, this is the best Christmas ever. We've got a full fridge and freezer to see us past New Year. Oh.
It was implausible. It was strange to be parachuted into this weird domestic situation without any kind of run up. I mean, normally they give you a little clue, like you'll have someone say something in the shop the week before that kind of gives you a sort of like paves the way for these kind of reintroductions. we needed more exposition. We needed to know more about what had led up to this point.
Yeah,
Why is the relationship being on the rocks?
exactly.
Why is Usha behaving so strangely? What's she stressed out about? What's going on in her life that would excuse this behavior?
Mm.
Anything. And also, Alan was so drippy. He's always been a bit of a drip, but he was an absolute doormat.
Mm.
And it's not a question. It's not like a sexist thing. It's not like because he's a man. It's an unattractive quality in any person to be that kind of downtrodden.
Yeah, I know. It was all not nice to listen to. There was one little bit that I thought was funny when Susan, which was, they did spin a whole marital breakup out of thin air, didn't they? Which is terrible. But there was one
Mm.
bit when Alan said to Susan, Susan was going, you're going to be alone at Christmas. She was like, no, I'm not. I'm not alone. He was desperately trying to say, I'm fine. Nothing's happening. She kept interrupting. And then she went, oh, yes, God's always with you, isn't he? I quite like that bit. That made me properly laugh.
That was one of my problems with the amount of. So the thing with Harrison, you've got Alan's, you've got lots of. There's been a lot of God recently.
Well, it is bloody Christmas, isn't it?
But I mean, true.
Yeah.
There's no God in my Christmas, but anyway.
Nor mine either.
I tried to be. So I was having a good old chat with my brother about atheism, sort of like the other day, and how I want there to be a new category. So there's atheists, there's an agnostic, and then you have theists, right? So, and then spiritualists, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I want there to be a category, which I feel is where I live, which is between atheism and agnosticism, where it's basically saying, I don't believe in anything, but I also respect the value of religion, and I respect the sort of cultural impact it has when it's done positively and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to be someone who's naysaying or rude about religion. And in return, I want to believers. Imagine once a year, the Marvel universe and the DC universe completely takes over, and you all have to, like the Archers gets taken over, and they're discussing is Thanos and Spider-Man and all this sort of stuff. It's really annoying. Is that reasonable, Keri? I don't know.
I love it. I don't care if it's reasonable or not. I do love it. You sounded a bit like Kirsty for a moment where she said, I don't know what, there's one thing I do believe in. It's love, basically, she said, which, and love should include not forcing stuff onto other people. But having said that, I did have the most wondrous time just before Christmas with my two kids, who are, I know you've probably heard it before, but I always call them kids, and people might imagine that they're sort of at primary school or something, even though I'm old. But they're 21 and 24. But we went to see It's a Wonderful Life at the Duke of York Cinema in Brighton. I'd never seen it on the big screen. My daughter had never seen it at all. My son had seen it. And it was absolutely fantastic as an experience. The film is wondrous, and seeing it with my kids was brilliant. And then afterwards, the film finished at 3:30, and my son said, "There's a Christmas Carol concert just along the same road in St Bartholomew's Church at 4." So we meandered along and went into this beautiful, huge church. It's got weird dimensions. It's very, very tall and brick outside. It's supposed to be the dimensions of the ark, but I don't know. It would topple over. I don't know. Anyway, so suddenly we were in this Christmas Carol concert, and I'm an atheist. And it was absolutely fantastic to just sit and listen and sing the carols and hear what Christmas is supposed to be about. There were lessons in amongst the carols, and it was a brilliant Christmas afternoon.
It sounds lovely. I do remember enjoying church. I enjoyed singing in church. I enjoy, the pageantry of it, and obviously the buildings.
Yeah.
Are, there is something lovely about all singing together, apart from obviously the huge spread of COVID.
Well, we were all spaced out.
No, I wasn't to dig at you, Keri. Sorry.
Yeah, we were all fully masked. People were spaced apart, and I think it's just a place for reflection, isn't it? And a time for thought, really.
Maybe you and I need to start a humanist
A
church
religion.
out the guff.
Yeah, instead of the body of Christ, you get a pork scratching.
I'm sorry. Okay, right. That's who knew? Who knew that you were going to found a religion today, Keri?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm unemployed. I've got now to do. I'm not into cryptocurrency. I'll do that instead. Start a religion, a cult.
How do you think you'll cope with the power? Do you think you're going to become one of these sex mad cult leaders who has like 50 sort of taut flanked young wastrels kind of flitting around you, servicing your every need?
Bloody hell, I hope so. I'm not into the taut stuff though. I'd rather have a dad bod, really.
Oh, I
Person.
forgot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like that more.
Okay, then an army of chunky monkeys desperate to sort you out.
Yeah, thank you. That's 2022 looking brighter already.
All hail Worbis. All hail Worbis.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll reluctantly. I'll be
reluctantly
the
sign up. I don't think you would you? Anyway,
there's any number of reasons why I should stay on the organizational side of this, or this,
okay, yeah,
this. But okay,
yeah.
I'll like this. Number 5, please go into the chamber. Worbis will see you now. Sort of each one carrying a little sort of like plate of meats on a velvet cushion as they wander in.
Oh, speaking of meats, this morning I was cooking a chicken at 7 a.m. and I was thinking, God, this is better than scented candles. The smell of roast chicken in the morning. And I was doing that because my son was going to work and he was, he was going to have lovely roast chicken sandwiches for his work.
What a good mother.
It's not hard to wang a chicken in the oven, is it? But I was thinking, God, yeah, why do we bother with scented candles when roasting meats is much better?
I used to make beef jerky a lot in America.
Mm.
And I remember a friend saying to me, "Oh, the thing about beef jerky is it makes your whole home smell terrible." And no, very, very opposite. Great big overly rich beefy smell fills the home.
Speaking of beefy, Harrison. I don't know if that works really, but
he's muscly, isn't he?
Well, all that thing about him suddenly realizing that Jesus is quite a significant figure in Christmas, and he didn't want to pretend to be him. And then Alan was like, "You're not pretending to be him; you're portraying Jesus." Like, I loved that Harrison thought he was literally going to pretend to be Jesus. I don't think you're doing that in Umbridge, are you?
No, it's all very strange. And the scene with him in the river.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I was struggling with that. And I'm also scared that we're going to have
Are they actually going to nail him to the cross? This is what I'm wondering.
Oh, I mean, there's plenty of people out there who'd like to see how Harrison go, but I have a soft spot for Harrison. But
yeah,
am I wrong in thinking Alan had a crisis of faith? Are we now going to have the opposite? Are we now going to have Harrison sort of tentatively discovering his spiritual side, or
possibly? He did say, it's made me wonder. He had that conversation with Kirsty, didn't he, about it's actually made me think. And I thought, God, that must be really hurting Harrison for you to be thinking.
If they take it seriously and they have Harrison decide that, because who was he talking to? It was that idiot, wasn't it? Chris. Chris was like, well, it does make you wonder if there's something out there. But no,
that was Kirsty. He said that too. He spoke to Chris when he was wild swimming to get used to being on a cross for half an hour in his underpants. But it was Kirsty who he said that was the conversation where someone of the two of them said, "You do wonder if there's something out there, something else." And Peter Bowker did a really good tweet about that comment. Actually, I'll just find it on my phone. I did a screenshot. He put, he quoted that, "You do wonder if there's something out there, don't you? I sometimes feel everything we say is being listened to by a higher force." And then the next thing he put was, "The Cider Shed Pod." You know about them too?
Well, now that you're a cult leader, Keri, it's even more. Even more true.
So we're
Yeah.
the higher force who is listening to Kirsty. And I was like, yeah, that
It
obviously
says
not.
more about Kirsty than it does about us. But yeah,
Yeah.
if they actually take it seriously, and Harrison does decide that he needs to explore that side of life,
Yep.
let's see him look at some other religions. Let's see him look at other forms of spirituality. Let's not see him just trot off to St. Stephen's to become Shula Mark II. You know,
Yeah. And Kirsty too, I think that whole Harrison weirdness of the Jesus cross thing and the wild swimming and having a chat with Alan was to lead us to that point around Christmas of thinking about,
so you think that's it done?
yeah. Well,
Okay. I think they've got to remember that some of us aren't religious, and it's like Radio 4 in the morning. The what's it called?
oh,
The
not thought for the
thought for the
day.
day.
Oh
Thought for
God.
the day. It's like, look, just stop it being a religious thing. Thought. The rest of us have thoughts too. The rest of us can have commandments. We can have we can have rules that we live our life by. We might not have them written in a list and brought down a mountain by a big man with a beard, but
They do
like,
have secular people on it too, don't they?
do they more
Is
now?
secular the right word for not religious yet, isn't it?
It's the Archers. I just feel that it's a bit too Christian. Like, let's get some other faiths in. If faith is going to be one of the topics of the Archers, let's get some other faiths in there. Let's get some,
Spiritual home, having a word.
yeah. Well, I mean, whoever, but I think that we have enough Christianity in Britain. I think let's hear a bit more about some other stuff. But anyway, it's very much my opinion. These are not these are not necessarily. I don't know. Is that controversial? I don't feel it should be.
No, it's your thoughts. I
Yeah.
don't think Christianity is a bad thing
No,
necessarily,
nor do I.
and
Nor do
nor
I.
do you. Yeah, exactly.
No.
And I just think it is Christmas, and that is why this is happening. So,
Yeah, I know
fair
what you
enough.
mean, but I just, okay. I don't want to. I don't want to be all two sides about it, but they don't make any mention of anything else. But let's look at it this way. Like you were saying about the mysteries. We've had months of lead up to that. So if you include all the lead up to these Christmas celebrations, we've had weeks of Alan sort of agonizing over his speeches and his multi-faith seminars, whatever it's called, he's got to go to. It's a lot in a small period of time. And that's all time that we could have been spending with Jazza and Tracy, getting to know Mia a bit better. Like, even you're either, if you've grown up in this country, you do not need reminding that it's a country based on Christian teachings with, a loose, with Christianity running through it like a stick of rock.
Yeah, you're quite right. I agree on that level. And I did enjoy the mysteries, but I really it pained me to have to listen to Linda and all of the repeated weeks of the faff of getting that production together. And it happens every year. And yeah, again, there are two camps, certainly on Twitter, about like, we're bored of this. It's the same every year. And then there's others going, oh, I love this. They do it every year. This. Yeah, I guess we have a choice, don't we, to not bother listening in that run up.
That's true.
But loads of other characters were missing this in the run up to Christmas. Russ wasn't in it, who we love.
No.
And Brian wasn't in it. I'd love to hear him around Christmas time. Wasn't enough Jim. The beloved.
They could flip it because, so if you look at it as negative space in the universe, so you could still have the mysteries going on. You could still have the annual panto, but it could be what people are up to whilst their wives and partners are off at this stupid thing.
Yeah.
Because, let's say Jazza's at the mysteries. Well, that's a night a week where Tracy can be living it up and having, as a couple, we all love a bit of time on our own.
Yeah.
So they can still acknowledge that this thing is going on, and you can turn up at the end of it to hear the show. But we can see the flip side, the village that must be glorying in all of these wankers being, off 3 nights a week doing something else with Linda.
Sunday my heart sank when they were still talking about the mysteries. I tuned in and thought, oh, this is the in-between times.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's going into their homes. It's talking about, using your garden as an extension of your fridge. It's talking about the board games that you're playing. Have you got your shopping orders? What are you having for Christmas dinner, Christmas lunch, whatever. That kind of little familial stuff, which I adore. But no, they were talking about Susan on the flatbed truck entrance. Oh, I was just digging my fingernails into my palms then.
Yeah.
So I do love your idea of that alternative listening experience of
Yeah.
everyone who's at the mysteries doing it and us lot having a nice time. And then we can choose to listen to the mysteries as the standalone thing or not.
Because you said there's two camps. Well, Camp A and Camp B, one of those camps has had a really good run of it. 10, maybe 15 years of relentless annual Christmas shows.
Yeah.
Let's let the other camp have a year off. Let's let it be our year next year, please. Archers, script writers. So, Keri, we have, I feel...
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew is definitely the most positive out of the three of us when it comes to the show, isn't he? There's no doubting it. You and I have had a good old moan. Should we try and what is there left over to discuss that's we can be a bit positive about before we say goodbye?
I'd like to think about, you see the TV and so on packed with retrospectives of the year, don't you, at this point?
Yeah.
Because it's New Year's Eve. I would like to think about the positives from 2021, which has been a bit of a grim year in so many ways for people. However, in amongst all of that, there have been some really good things. And pertaining to the cider shed, I was, it was born in April.
Yes.
So I'm very glad about that. And
what does that make it? April's child is fair and
fat. I'm really bloody glad that happened. I love it. I enjoy it. We do adore the Archers, even though we rib it as well.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, it just shows that for all our moaning, there must be something that we like. And we got a lot. So the Russ episode, as people can probably guess, was our most listened to episode by not a huge margin, because the numbers have got up to a level now that it would be weird for it to be a huge margin, but like a healthy kind of 10% over the next biggest one, or sort of 5% over the next biggest one. And it was really joyous to chat to and Denise, and it did remind me how much fun we have doing this.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was, and it has been. And also the other thing is, and I think people probably might not remember this if they, or they have no reason to remember this. I didn't know Matthew at all before the Cider Shed, and he's a proper friend now. We talk we communicate at least 5 or 6 times a day on our WhatsApp group. Keri and I were already mates beforehand, so we've both got a proper. You were sort of like
I was mates with Matthew.
Mates.
Yeah,
but it's your friendship with him's changed massively, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, developed. Yeah. I knew he would fit. That was the thing. I knew he would fit, and he does. And I love him very much. And it's a shame he can't be here today, but he's probably.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, he's probably on some Lisbon beach. He'll send us smug photos later, won't he?
No, I joke. Of course, it's a travesty that we didn't make more effort to get Matthew on today. But
also, you've mentioned our listening numbers, which are really super healthy. I would like to, from a positive point of view, again, thank our loyal, hilarious listeners. We have lots of communication with them. They're growing still. Love you all. 2021's been tough, but we're a resilient bunch, and I'm just really looking forward to 2022 with you all, really.
One thing, I sat down with a friend of mine who works at Spotify, and he ran some kind of diagnostic thing on the podcast, and he was kind of he's a really good guy, and he's reasonably hard to impress. And he was kind of going through the numbers. He's like, "Oh, that's healthy. That's good," And he was kind of like, and then he's like, "Oh my god, people listen to the whole thing." And I was like, "Do they?" And he was like, "Yeah." like pretty much everyone listens to the whole thing. So I was like, bloody hell, okay, right, yeah, that's that's absolute madness. Why would you do that? But anyway,
Well,
well
it's
done,
testament,
everyone.
isn't it? I think all the ones where they don't listen to the whole thing is probably me, where it's run over, or my mum, where it runs over into the next one accidentally and you stop it. That's my theory anyway. Of course, everyone listens to it
Of
all.
course, of course, of course. But it's also I listen to podcasts to help me go to bed, so it might just be
Mm.
that
Yeah.
people have, but we're massive in the insomniac community. Um, if you type insomniac podcast into Reddit, like the side of shit comes up, top of the list. Like guys, get on this. It's absolutely, it's gold.
Oh, but no, I totally enjoy it. It's lovely. We do whinge a bit, but hopefully not too much for our listeners.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. If
Mm.
it sounds like we're being a bit too moany, remember the amount of time that we do give to the archers, and very happily as well. My favourite thing about doing the show is definitely, well, beyond connecting with people, is definitely the look of absolute astonishment on people's faces when I tell them I do an Archers podcast.
I know.
Like, they just look at you like you're absolutely demented.
Yeah, they do that sort of
Oh,
a
okay.
nervous
Right.
laugh.
Yes, you're an atheist with one life, and this is what you're choosing to do with it. Fine. Yeah, good choice. But yeah,
Oh, Peter, off topic. Can I just ask you, because you're a foodie guy,
yeah, ish, yeah.
Jennifer warming eggs up to room temperature for half an hour. I had this down as a note to ask you for the mushroom omelette that didn't happen. Um, do you store your eggs in the fridge? Were her eggs cold because they were in a pantry, do you think? Or what? My eggs are in a bowl in the kitchen because I remember someone telling me you shouldn't have eggs in the fridge.
It's the whole American thing, isn't it? Americans wash their eggs, and it gets rid of the protective layer that's naturally on eggs from when it's
Ah.
squeezed out of a chicken's bum, or whichever, the
Mm.
cloaca, I believe it's called. And then obviously over here we don't wash them, so they have that protective layer. So that's
Yeah,
why you
I
can
love
leave
it when
them
you
out
have
of
a
here.
little bit of shit and a feather stuck on an egg.
Yes, it
That's
tells you
more
it's a
authentic,
break.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I sometimes think they'd stick them on there to make them look more appealing. I don't
imagine
know.
having that job. bucket, little tub of shit and a paintbrush. Keri,
Mm.
if people want to get in touch with us to tell us to stop being too negative and to congratulate us for clinging on for 1 year,
Mm.
almost a year, where do they go to?
Yeah, Twitter is at the Cider Shed Pod, and I believe Instagram is the same.
Yes.
However, Facebook, I think I never touch Facebook with a barge pole, but I think it's at the Cider Shed Podcast.
Well, the
Is
link
that
will
right?
be on the show notes anyway. So
Correct. Yeah,
yeah,
well done.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, please join us on all of these places with your wonderful comments.
whichever suits you best. Yeah, and absolutely. And if you want to email us, we don't get as many emails as we used to, but hello at thecidershed.com will find us, and it'd be lovely to hear from you. Also, we've been in touch with some people at the Archers.
Mhm.
We don't claim to have any particular connection. We're not best buddies with them, anything like that. But we are in a position to sort of request who we might have as another guest. It's not a cornerstone of the show. We don't sort of do the show so that we can chat to people.
Mm.
But it has been fun when we've talked to Ryan and talked to Susie and to talk to Andenice. It's been a real pleasure because they're nice people. So if there are any characters that you would like us to try and talk to, then please ping us an email or tweet Keri. And I think we had a really lovely chat with Chelsea last week, didn't we, Keri?
Yes, we did. We did indeed. The actress Madeleine Leslie
Yes.
is super keen to come on in the new year. She's got lots of commitments in the early part of the year, but she listens to the pod and really enjoys it, and she's going to be coming on at some point. So we'll keep you posted on that one.
Yeah, I think she said something about wanting to be in the character a bit longer before she comes
Yes.
on the pod. So anyway, so she will hopefully be joining us. But as I said, it's not something we obsess about. It's not the reason we do the show, but people do. People seem to get something out of it. We definitely do. It's lovely. It's always nice to talk to nice people. So yeah, if you think of anyone, give us a shout. So, Keri, next week, Matthew will be back.
Mm-hmm.
Service will be, as normal. What are you up to until then?
Seeing in the new year tonight with my nearest and dearest, and looking forward to 2022 and hopefully finding a new job at some point.
Yeah.
I'm going to Seville at the end of January. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to give up sugar, and I'm going to attempt 3 weeks prior to Seville to have no booze, which I've done on many occasions. I've done months without booze.
Yeah, I remember the
Yeah.
last time you went without a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did pretty well. But then I
Yeah.
think it was one of your children had a crisis, and you all just because you go one and all, don't you? Like it's go one, go all. And I think I
Uh,
can't remember something happened in the house, and you all went this. We're having a drink.
I can't remember.
A
Yeah,
long time ago. It's
probably.
when I was living in Margate, but yeah,
Yeah, but the three of us are going to be booze free for January, but then I'm going to Seville on the 24th, so
yeah.
yeah, I'm
Well, that's
not
enough,
going to
isn't
do
it?
that.
24 days
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, it's almost to February. Um,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Have a lovely week. Can't wait for Matthew
Mm.
to come back. And oh yes, I need to remember to say this. Matthew, I believe, is going to record us a little New Year hello. So
Mm.
that will be inserted now. Who knows what he's going to say, Keri? Let's hope he doesn't resign. Um,
That would be awkward.
and let's see what he has to say. Well, everyone, thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Happy New Year and see you next week and year.
Cheers.
Hey everyone, it's Matthew here. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. That goes for Peter, Keri, and especially all of the lovely listeners of the Cider Shed pod who've been so supportive over the 8 months or so since we started. Really means a lot, and recording this message has been harder than any of the podcasts we've ever done, because literally every time we start it, a car backfiring, a firework goes off, or some people start partying in the street below. So I'm going to get out of here as soon as possible. I'm very excited about the cult of Keri that they were talking about on the pod tonight. I'll definitely sign up for cooking the meats, as Peter's already snagged project manager. I'm out of here before something else happens. Love you loads. See you next year. Bye.
Hang on.